a seat. Yeah.
I will sit at this time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will also explain who's here in the room. As you know, this is indeed what we call bridge the radar board. So the possibility for you to react to the decision that we took. And we have present Brahima Malou, who is managing director of the faculty. Sandy van Zeeland, who is our HR advisor. You know me.
Sort of.
Yeah, at least you know who I am.
You are the director of the law studies, if I
Yeah,
remember
the dean
correctly.
is called. So
The dean.
it's the let's say the head of the school. Yeah. I think it's important to perhaps that's superfluous to say, but to listen carefully to what I have to say. Yeah. And also to take your time in answering the questions that I have.
Did
you
you-
already sent the written
Yes, did you, by the way, receive the edition as well? I've sent it very late.
today.
I sent it 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Because I didn't receive it.
Okay, I haven't seen it. If you did see, I did see
The main report.
reaction. Yeah, exactly what you said.
Okay,
yesterday.
that's the most important.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. That's good. So Monday last week, I told you that the university had decided to, deny your access to the buildings of the university for a period of 1 month, so 4 weeks. Then I also told you that you would still be heard about this decision. You already reacted immediately, yeah, when we were in this room last Monday. But still, we would like to give you also the opportunity, having thought a bit better about all of this, the opportunity for you to react to the decision, and also to ask you about the reasons on which the decision is based, whether you recognize those reasons or not, because you have seen it in the letter, that's this one that you received, and also what I told you last Monday, last week, was that there are two main reasons why we think it is important to ban you from our buildings for 4 weeks. And the first one had to do with the publishing online of the recording of a skills tutorial, which is a violation of our code of conduct, and also of the house rules of the university. That's what's one. And the second reason was that, we were notified by students about your messages in WhatsApp groups, and these students feel threatened by those messages and also intimidated by them. So if you want, we believe it would be very good if you could also react to those 2 points, whether you recognize that these 2 reasons for is allowing you the access, and then as a third point, still whether you how you feel about the measure that we have taken, and then towards the end of the talk, there's of course anyway a possibility for you also to say anything you like to say. And I will also still get back to your question that you raised last time about tuition fee.
Oh,
Which is also important
that's
to you.
secondary.
Exactly, yeah, but still, you raised the question. Shall we start with the hearing your views on those 2 specific reasons why the university has said we no longer allow you access? So
Yes.
first one is about
The recording
Yeah.
and the messages sent in the WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
So first, most of my points were written in the report, so they won't differ. They're the same. Maybe I can provide a little bit more insight into it, but generally everything that I wrote down in the main report will be my reasoning for this meeting.
Can you explain that also very briefly, just a few sentences?
Yes,
what your
of course.
reaction is there?
So, as you said, you're perfectly correct. The recording is a breach of the code of conduct of the university. So it's very clearly written. It's both related to privacy and to the specific rules written down. And the WhatsApp messages, well, there were no specific threats made. And I specifically sent messages stating that I'm not a danger to people. I can see how if 1 or 2 messages taken out of context or in isolation, and someone only sees that specific message, they would think that, wow, this person is going to do something bad, so I don't feel comfortable. So I get to your point for the second reason for suspension. So both of these situations taken out of context are completely correct, and the very clear breaches of the code of conduct, I completely agree to that. I don't want to debate that because it's clear. My main point is the context in which everything happened. So as I've written in my reports, some of the people that attended, that were part of the lesson, when I was attending the lesson, they wrote false information about me on the internet, and that had severe consequences. And this happened in a sort of systemic manner. So it was not one person; it was a group of people who did that. And as I mentioned in the report, that also represents a crime, and it had very negative effects on my life, and that includes the ability to study. And I try to explain the more complex situation, the overall complex situation, which part of it has to do with the university, and part of it has to do with the digital environment where all this happened.
In the past.
Hmm?
In the past.
Not in the past. It's an ongoing problem. I'll try to summarize it as quickly as I can, even though that's not not a complete. I cannot provide a complete picture of the entire situation, but the main points that are relevant, I can summarize them relatively quickly. So there is an internet group on social media that was created years ago, and the admins of that group, so the people who control the group, they created it for the purpose of defaming me and posting false information about me. And that group went viral, and so many people have seen it in Maastricht, outside of Maastricht, in Romania as well. And so it became a sort of a digital phenomenon. And the admins, they reward people who post specific types of negative stories about me. So, for example, if I go to a community and people have access to this group, it is expected that some of them will make up this sort of false stories out of nothing, just because they get rewarded later on by the admins of the group. And before I joined the university, so all of this happened before. I've experienced this in multiple communities. I went in various places, and some of the people who had access to this group, they have done exactly that. They have fabricated false information about me out of absolutely nothing. So just like I'm sitting with you here at the table, imagine I leave and then you go on the internet and say, Paul did something sexual that's very negative and very embarrassing, and here it is, everyone look at it. And then the admins of the group, they reward that. And that translates into social media fame and potentially money in some cases. So it is a very complex reward that many people perceive it as, oh, that's worth it. So they go on and do this sort of thing. So now all of this situation has started before I joined the university. But as was expected, there are a lot of young people here, and most of them, all of them, have access to social media. And it was expected that some people were going to engage in this. Now, the problem with this is that I don't have access to the group, and usually when I'm made aware of the situation, it always happens later. So someone makes something up today, they posted it, the negative consequences, well, they unfold day by day, and a week later, a month later, 2 months later, I'm informed about it, and I can't usually do much about it because I do not have screenshots of the content. So if I had that, I would be here with those screenshots and I would show you, look, this is what these people have done, and they posted this about me, and it is extremely negative. And I think you understand the main idea behind this. So this.
How do you know the group exists? Do you have any proof of that?
I've been told when the group was created, but that's I haven't been told the very specific information, so I was not told that that person posted something about you that is exactly this, and then the exact content and the false story. I only know that the group exists and that false stories are being posted there. And the latest information that I found about this had to do with the one that I described in the report. So as I mentioned, now the relevant parts to the university. After I've joined, it was expected. So before ever stepped foot in the university was expected that some people were going to do this. Now, now I couldn't possibly know who was doing it exactly when they did it because I do not have access to the group, so I cannot simply say, oh, that person did something without any information. So that's why my reaction was and is expected to be, if this happens in the future, is expected to be delayed. So if someone does something today and I don't know about it until a week, two, maybe a month later, so then when I report it to you, I do it as soon as I realize that something happens. But if I don't know about it, I cannot do anything about it. So I cannot notify you about it. Now, the case I described, the case that I described in the report has to do with one of my classmates, with Yareni Hernandez, and the false stories that she and other people that were around made up and posted about me in this group. Now, I tried to provide a clear picture of the situation. So I do not have access to the exact content that she and the others posted about me. So that's why I cannot come here with a screenshot and say, look, this is one of the students from their class and she did that and this person did that as well and he posted it here and a million people saw it and so on. So I cannot do that because I don't have the evidence. But what I do know is I don't have the evidence that they did that, even though I was informed that they did. Now, I am able to prove that the things that he said are false. So that has to do with why I posted the recording online. And that represents part of this evidence, not the entire evidence, but just part of it. And it does have some value for that purpose. And so that's my reasoning behind why I did that. So I didn't. So first of all, the action of recording the class, so that no one could have possibly known that I recorded the class. So that was done in a preventive manner. So in case some people were going to make up false stories, I had evidence that they lied. And in case they didn't, there was no harm in it because no one was ever going to know that I recorded the class. So then for me there was a sort of a preventive measure. And the moment I found out about it, and I was assured that the false stories were made up in the specific class that I posted online, I realized that the recording had value and it had to be posted in order to expose the false stories that they made up. But it's not just the false stories, what they did with the false stories. As I mentioned, posting it on a viral group and letting it go viral and cause a lot of problems and doing so for the expected reward that the admins of the group always pay out, basically. They're really, really aggravating factors. And that's what I try to explain, that this set of actions is considered a crime, but it's not just a crime because it is considered a crime. It causes a lot of harm, so it is something very negative. And that was the reason, that was the context in which I posted that recording online. So from my perspective, I have no interest in recording the lessons. Maybe there would be some value for listening to it afterward in case I missed something, but that would be only for me, and no one would know that I recorded anything. But for this purpose, the sole motive for recording the lesson in the first place was a preventive measure in case people were going to engage in this behavior. And in case they did, I was going to, so I planned to post it in order to expose what they've done. So this is the reasoning behind why I did that. So this was not something badly intended in which I stated, okay, I want to violate the privacy of people in the school because I want to be a bad person. So that's not how this happened.
Yeah. Can I still continue? Thank you. Still continue with the second point on the groups, the group apps.
The WhatsApp groups.
Messages, yeah, the WhatsApp group.
Oh yes. So,
Yeah. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So as I mentioned in the report, there is something that I've done wrong there. So my reaction in either case was not appropriate. It's obvious. I don't know how much of the messages, how many of the messages they've passed on to the university, but I can understand that they can easily be perceived as extremely negative and disrespectful, and something that's not appropriate in an academic context. So that's I 100% agree with that. There's no doubt about that. Regarding the threatening aspect, I could also see how some people could be threatened, especially if they only seen one or two messages, and the messages suggested action and something very powerful coming towards them. So then I can see how they could perceive it as a threat, even though I made it clear that I was not a danger to anyone. But indeed, I completely agree. The reaction was not appropriate. Was well, the factual information that I stated, so what I've also written in the report was correct. The context in which, not the context, but the manner in which I transmitted it was definitely not okay, and not something that anyone should do. So I agree with that. There's no. I don't try to defend against it or deny it. So the disrespectful language was there, and it was quite strong. So I can understand if some people perceive it as threatening or not okay. So there's no problem with that. However, again, the context is very important. So this did not happen out of the blue. I didn't decide to insult people, to state that the code of conduct is useless and no one does anything, and half of the class is consists of criminals and things that are really can be perceived as threatening and negative. So that's not what I do on a daily basis. I don't decide today I'm going to attack this group of people because I feel so. So again, it was not something badly intended. It was the result of the situation in which people conducted that very negative behavior, and they did it in a systemic manner, and they continued with it. Uh, and then, even though I didn't know about it, I strongly believe that part of the staff was aware of it, because if it went viral, people talk, and it is expected that some people from the staff would have access to that group as well. So my first reaction was, okay, they've done that, and at least part of the staff saw it, and no one has done anything about it. So now I'm angry. So that was the first type of angry-like reaction. Afterward, I contacted someone. I don't remember their names. I think it was Roy. I'm not sure who he is. I think a student advisor, and another lady who was conducting. I'm not exactly sure. I don't remember, but it had to do with the university, with the law faculty. So I had a meeting with them, and I explained the situation, not as in much detail as I did in the report, but the main aspects I've explained it to them, and their reaction was to say that maybe you should leave it and focus on something else, and maybe you see a psychologist or a doctor to help you focus on your studies and other aspects of your life. And to me, that was extremely disrespectful, because I knew that these people have done these things, and they cannot just be overlooked. So it's one thing when someone makes something about you in the class, and then there's a bit of chit chat, and the situation just disappears, or it develops, and no one cares, because we're all adults, so we don't focus on real chit chat. But when people post this sort of things on a internet group that goes viral, and everybody sees it, and this happens from people from multiple countries, and then you're categorized based on what they say there, and that false information has negative consequences on your life, then that's a different situation. So when the two employees told me just to leave it, focus on something else, that was the point when I became angry, and I decided, okay, the school is not going to help me, and that was sort of the drop that filled the glass, and then I went on a few rants in the WhatsApp groups, shouting everybody. So that's the context in which that happened.
Yeah, I think it's good of you to say that you do recognize that the messages that you posted in the WhatsApp group
Negative.
they were also
Of course.
perceived as threatening by some of the other students. That does lead to another question, which is essentially also about the future. Given that you do see that was perceived as negative and not as good, and also given the measure that we had to take as a result of the university, how do you feel about then after this 4 weeks period, whether that means that you will no longer do these type of things? Is that the case?
So regarding the angry-like reaction,
Yeah. Yeah. So posting threatening messages in WhatsApp groups,
Of course,
or
that's
posting as you did the recordings online.
so. I'll address each of them separately because they're separate issues. So regarding the angry like reaction, it's pretty straightforward. So it's okay to address problems. It's not okay to address problems insulting people. So even if it's justified, it doesn't help anyone. So that's I can agree that has to be avoided, and I'll do my best to not write anything that anyone can perceive as threatening. So the things that I wrote, clearly I won't try them. But if this sort of situations continue to happen, this is another key issue that I mentioned in the report. If people keep doing this, once again, it is a behavior that is extremely negative and it causes a lot of harm. So it does need to be addressed. Now, again, I agree with you. Swearing, using swear words, and insulting people is not the way to go, even if what I'm saying is correct. So I think this point is clear. Regarding the second one with the recordings, this is a little bit more delicate. Um, so those recordings, once again, they were posted because they represented evidence of people committing these crimes. So that is an extremely important point that should not be overlooked in any case. So the reason behind posting the recordings, which indeed they do represent a violation of the code of conduct, was the fact that people committed these crimes against me while attending class. So that is the entire situation. So that's the only causative reason for posting these recordings. Um,
Do you think it helps then? If you believe that these people are committing crimes against you, does it then help to
so
post these
what?
recordings online?
So again, this has to do with the complex situation. Now, I cannot say 100% that the recordings prove that everything that was said in that class is false. So I don't believe that, but I do believe that the recordings have a lot of value in proving the truth. So they expose some of the false stories that were made up, and they prove that the reaction that people had in real life, so while I was there, did not match at all with what they wrote about me in the social media group. So then they have it has the recording has a lot of value in exposing their misconduct, but also the fact that they committed crimes against me. Now, you asked about the future, so I assume that by that you're asking me if I'm going to post recordings again in the future. So that's probably the question, right?
Or maybe the question before:
Yeah.
Are you still continuing to record the meetings? Because before you do that, it's a breach of privacy of the people in the room, and if the people in the room are not giving you permission, it's not allowed to that in any setting.
Because it violates their privacy.
Yeah, because I don't have to tell you that as a law student, you know it better than me.
Of course, yes. So now, this weird behavior of mine of recording people, once again, it is only done because of the context of the social media group, and it is only done in environments where I believe that this sort of behavior will be exhibited. So if I have reasons to believe that I go to class and out of 20 people, or people who are there in the class, some of them will post false information about me, it rings an alarm, and I think, okay, I should record this because it is very likely that the undesirable behavior will be exhibited. However, if I go to a classroom, to another place, and I know that okay, the people there are probably not going to post anything about me, then there is not a serious reason to record them, because I don't expect them to do this sort of thing. However, in the context of what I've seen before, a lot of people do this, and especially when a lot of young people are around and they're big groups. There's always someone who has this thought process of, okay, that person rewards me for talking bad about Paul. So then,
Excuse me, but the dean asked you if you are still continuing to record and to post a thing, and it's not sure what you are trying to say now. Are you trying to say you will continue to do that, or are you trying to say no? I won't do that anymore. I will try to focus on my study. And
So I will get to this point. So I will get faster to it if you want to. So, yes. So if people are showing signs that they are continuing to behave like this, I will record the lessons because it is expected, based on what I see, that they are committing this crime against me. However, if there are zero signs that, so if I'm not told that people committed those crimes against me, there is no reason for me to post anything online, which means that either if I record the lessons or not, it doesn't matter as long as they're not public because no one knows what I'm doing.
And how do you know?
So again, yes, I'll get the result, and this was a key point that I tried to mention in my report. It has to do with why people are doing this, and it starts with. I will use that as an example, the case of Urbani and the class from legal reasoning, or introduction to law and legal reasoning. So what happens is as follows: they did post false information about me, and some of these people got rewarded for it. And then everybody else saw this. So they saw that they can make up false stories about me and commit these crimes against me and get rewarded for it. And they have seen that they experienced no negative consequences. So the school did not address their negative actions, and no one else addressed the negative actions, even when I stood up and said, okay, look what happened, and here is the evidence, someone needs to take action. So as long as people do not experience negative consequences for this very negative behavior that is rewarded, it is 100% expected that sooner or later someone else will do it again. So maybe it doesn't happen right away, but it's very easy to condition people in this way. If you see that someone does something, regardless if it's good or bad, if this observer sees that there are no negative consequences and the behavior is greatly rewarded and everyone finds it acceptable, they will do it again. So this is my point, and I've written a couple of requests in my report, and one of them was to ensure that the people who did this to me face consequences, and this is probably the most important part of my report, because once that happens, everybody else sees that okay, committing aggravated defamation against Paul leads to negative consequences, and then the rest of the people will make sure to not engage in this behavior. So then, if I know that this is the case, I have no reasons to record anyone anyway, because that's.
Do you understand? Do you understand that if you keep recording meetings without informing the people who are present at the meeting, that it will have negative consequences for you, because it's not allowed.
It's a lack of privacy.
It's a lack of privacy. All the reasons what you mentioned are all true or false. I don't know. The only thing what's important now, if you keep recording without permission, the negative consequences are for you. You understand that?
But there's a difference. So I'm not recording the lessons in a vacuum. I'm recording the lessons because crimes are committed against me. So then the fact that crimes punishable by prison are committed against me is significantly more important than the fact that I violate people's privacy. So then, based on well my understanding of the situation, the staff should address the crimes that are committed because they're actual crimes and not the lack of privacy.
Yeah, okay.
So
then, yeah, so let's say to conclude this point then. Because what should be, in your view, when I ask you what is the best way for university to continue after the 10th of March, so after 1 month?
okay, so I have a couple of options in mind, and that's based on what you are willing to do. So the option, what I consider the only acceptable option is for you to address the crimes that were committed against me. So that's option number one, and from my opinion, the only acceptable option. And that includes informing me of the exact content of the false stories of these people. So that's the only acceptable option from my perspective, but I do have a couple of backups in case you do not agree with this.
Yeah.
So,
What are backups?
do you agree with this option? Because this is the main point.
I'm not going to specifically go into.
Okay, you can think about it. You don't need to give me a response now,
no,
but you can.
no.
You don't agree with
Let's
that.
go substantively into what you ask for. What are your backup options?
So that's a no.
Yeah.
That's a no. Okay. So the backup options is there are two backup options. So one is that I go to class, I record the lessons, I don't record the lessons. That's on me, and no one knows what I do. So that's one option. And if I have reasons to believe that this happened again, I post recordings, and then we probably have a problem, and I'll probably get suspended again. So that's one option. The second option is for me to, because I have all the study materials. So the second option consists of only going to exams and only being here for the things that are absolutely necessary to be physically here, in order to avoid the situation, the expected scenario in which people continue this behavior. Because from my perspective, it's pretty clear that as long as the criminals who did this do not face any consequences, sooner or later people are going to do this again. So maybe not right away, but a few weeks later, a month later, they'll do it again. So from my perspective, if option one is rejected, in which the actual crimes committed are addressed, so again, that's more important than privacy rules. If that fails, if staff doesn't agree to that, then the second option is just regarding continuing the studies or not. So the first one is I go there, but then you have to be aware that it is very likely that the behavior will repeat, and I'll post the recordings again. And I assume that we will have a big problem if that happens again. So, correct? Yeah. So the alternative option to that is I don't go to school. I just use the study materials, and I come here for exams and for things that are absolutely necessary to be here in person. And that way, there cannot be any false stories made up because I won't be here, and there's no way for me to record anyone because, again, I'm not here. So both situations are solved, but that's not the solution. That is just an alternative that I find in order to be able to finish my studies. The true solution is for people who committed crimes against me to pay for their crimes. So that's option one.
Can I just ask in between, because
Sure.
I will not go too much into the substantive things that you're saying. Then you have one question. How, when you say that you're not able to prove these crimes being, you say that you know these crimes are being committed against you,
Okay.
but you're not able to prove them. How do you think that we as a university could then prove those crimes against you?
No, that's not the point that I made. So that's not what I said. So what I said is I know that the crimes were committed. So this is 100%. I also said that I can prove that they lied about the false stories. So because of the nature of the crime, so the defamation is divided into two different options. So defamation made without knowing that the information is false, and aggravated defamation when the information is false and the people purposely share the information. So right now the situation is as follows. All of them already committed defamation, and I'm stating with 100% accuracy that I can prove that all of them also committed aggravated defamation because they purposely lied about the information. So in terms of proving that they committed the crimes, I already did that to some extent through my recordings and the reports that I wrote on the topic. The missing piece of the puzzle, so what I explained in the report is not proving that they committed the crimes, but having evidence of the crimes being committed. So that means that I have to provide a screenshot of the exact post made about me on social media. So, for example, this girl that I mentioned there, or another girl, goes on social media and says, Paul sexually harassed me and he touched my bottom, or something like that. And obviously, that shouldn't be said on a Facebook group, but it's one of you. No one does that because nothing ever happens. So, one girl posts that, and then I can prove that she lied because her behavior doesn't match the action. So if someone does this, there should be some sort of reaction. Here's where the recordings provide quite a lot of value. So then again, I can prove that she lied about information, that she committed a crime, but what I cannot prove is that she posted that statement online, because I do not have access to the group where this is happening. So I cannot go on the group and make a screenshot and then bring it here and show it to you and say, okay, this girl on Tuesday at 12:50, she posted this exact statement, and here you can see it. 2 million people saw it, and 20,000 people commented on it, and she committed this crime against me. So that's what I don't have I don't have the evidence to show that. That's the missing piece of the puzzle.
Do you have the name of the group?
No. So I don't have access to the group. It's a private social media group, meaning that you need an invitation to join. But before it was private, it went viral, and then it became private. But it already had over 1 million people, so then people just invited more people that they knew. But not me, because of the very specific and complex situation that I'm not sure I explained it completely in the report, and it takes very long time to explain.
Yeah, okay. I will, thank you so much. I will just repeat what I said Monday last week. So first thing that I mentioned there is that you no longer contact the student that you just, whose name you just mentioned.
Who?
Yeah, that's one.
Yareni Hernandez?
Sorry.
Yareni Hernandez?
Yeah.
Or the entire,
Yeah.
that student specifically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And the second thing I mentioned last time was also that it's important to no longer post things about fellow students on YouTube. So those are two things I already mentioned, but I mentioned them again. But I also said last Monday, and I want to repeat it here as well, is that it's a difficult thing to say, because you just said that, no, I should start differently.
Sure.
Personally, how are you doing? Are you doing okay?
What do you mean personally?
Yeah, so as a person, are you, as I said, it's difficult for me to say, because you just said when any, let's say, I have to say this also about the university and our faculty.
Hmm?
With the basis like this, we also always tell the student, in this case you, that if you need any help, that help would also be offered to you. What you said before was that when help is offered by the faculty, that you felt that it was disrespectful.
What do you mean, help?
Yeah, like help in the sense of to help you with personally, because this is not a small thing that you're being suspended. So if you have anyone that you want to speak about, anyone that you want to speak with about this, that help would be available.
Okay,
Just make the point for the record also, so that you know that that help does or is available if you want.
Okay, so 2 points. One, with the suspension. So the suspension is very, very minor compared to the crimes that were committed against me.
Mm-hmm.
So if something affects me, that's 99.9% the crimes that were committed against me and that were not addressed, and 0.1% the suspension. So this is it's so minuscule that it pales in comparison to crimes punishable in prison committed against me. I think that's self-explanatory. The second point is the type of help. So for example, when you see someone that's being beaten up, and you provide a bottle of water and you say, here, have some water, so you're being beaten up a little bit easier. It's not a correct action. The correct action is to ensure that the person does not continue to be beaten up. So in this case, when people commit crimes punishable by prison against me, the correct action is not to say you need moral help or someone to support you. The correct action is to address the crimes that are committed against me.
Can I add something? Sure. The most important thing now is for the future. You just said, I cannot guarantee if I, in the lessons, I would not record them. If you stay recording the lessons, the consequences will be that you will be expelled again. The second thing which you meant, that if you know for sure you cannot control yourself not to record. If you know for sure you cannot control yourself not to record them, that option B, like you said, would be for yourself the most risk-free. If you want to continue your
So
lessons.
to only come for the exams, for example.
Or that's possible.
That if you want,
That's what I
but
basically.
the only because if you stay recording everything, you will be sitting here again, and the expelled will be a lot longer time.
Mhm.
So the only thing what you can do is not record.
Not record or not
Not
attend?
record. No record. Not record. Attend. Or if you record, please don't attend it, because you will have
Because then
problems
this
again.
can happen
Then
again.
the only thing what you can do is do your lessons from.
From home. Yeah, that was basically my solution.
But that's your. You have to. The most perfect thing would be you will join the lessons. You will do the lessons. Do not record them. Be actively in the lessons on a positive way, and keep yourself. Don't listen to the people. But that is only a
Yes,
suggestion.
again, I understand your point perfectly, but just like I mentioned before, so I'll use the extreme example with the beating, because it creates a mental picture. So if people beat me up at school, and I say I don't want to attend because they beat me up, the solution is not for me to attend and say nothing when they beat me up, or go home in order for them not to beat me up. The correct solution is to address the beating. So my question for you, and for all of you actually, so I made a couple of requests there, and the one that I'm most interested in is if you will address any of the crimes committed against me. So that's my main point, and probably the main reason why I'm here.
Yeah, it will be very difficult for us to do that for the reasons that I mentioned, that we do not see those crimes at the moment. Because then we would need to prove those.
But
You're not able to prove them at the moment, so how could we be able to prove
so
them?
I did prove that they committed the crimes. It's just that I do not have access to the content that they posted. But I assume that all of you are aware of the content that they posted.
How could we do that? We have no. We don't see them either. You don't see them. How could we see them then?
So you're not aware of Yareni or the other people from that class posting any information about me?
Nothing.
Okay, so I assume based on that claim that you will not address the situation. So for me, that's
You're not able to.
no, I do believe that you are, but I'm not going to debate that, because if you say we don't see the information and I say yes you do, then there's no argument. There's just useless debate. So
Just if I may, because we have to conclude the meeting.
sure.
Unless there's anything urgent that you would still like to say, there's one thing I would like to mention still, which
Sure,
is
go
that
ahead.
if you meet anyone from the faculty, university in the coming weeks, I am available. You have my email address, so don't hesitate to send me any email that you like, or any message you would like to convey to me. I will be your contact point for the university. So that's one. Secondly, the question on the tuition fee that you raised. So we will look very good at your question, and I think that indeed we will be able also to exempt you from that length, because I think it helps you also in your financial situation.
Okay, so based on your responses, so I would like to make a few conclusions myself. The first one is consistent with the main reason why I attended this meeting, and that was to first make sure that I transmitted all the information correctly to all of you. So one is for the report, and secondly, being here and explaining it, and two, to see if you will address the respective crimes that were committed. And this puts me in a very difficult situation. As you said, I don't see a nice way forward, because studying from home and coming here for exams is, well, in theory it works. I do believe that I've done that for the retakes, and I think I passed quite not comfortably, but I did much better than in the first one. However, I don't think this is suitable, because to me, the disrespect of not addressing the crimes committed against me and suspending me for providing evidence that the crimes were committed is not something that should be tolerated by anyone. And I see that your position is very, very clear. You're not going to do anything about it. And if I continue to expose these crimes, I will get suspended again. So I really do not see a way forward, even though I could study from home and come here for exams. I don't think that's suitable in this situation because, again, when you go to school and you're being beaten up, the people have to stop beating you up. You don't have to go home because you're beating you up.
What does that mean, Paul, to say there is no way, you don't see a way forward?
So I mean that the best option based on your reaction and what you're willing to do regarding the crimes that were committed against me. So my best option, considering that, is to probably stop the study completely and focus on something else. It is unfortunate because I did improve my results in the last retakes, and I think I passed both the exam and the assignment. But that being said, if the crimes are not addressed at all and you do nothing about it, and I am told that if I provide evidence again, I'll be suspended again, that is simply something that I don't tolerate. So I do think that best decision for me is to stop the study completely, and that's puts an easy end to this.
If you want to stop the study, you would ask us to look into the fee also. If you are managing it, you want to stop the study.
Yes.
You ask us to look into the fee,
The fee.
to the
The tuition fee.
tuition fee to stop that again.
Well,
I don't know if that's what you're asking us now.
I'm not asking you, but if there is a possibility to also stop the fee, since I'm not making use of any of the services, that's of course that's better. Because why would I pay for the university if I don't?
Okay, but then we have to hear you are formally stopping the study. Then we can look into that.
How can I formally stop the study?
I don't know because you say now you are thinking about if there's no.
No, the decision is clear for me. So in these circumstances, I stopped the study. So that's 100%.
We can give you the information by email how to do that.
Okay.
If you want.
But I do not have access to my school email and to
No, send it
by my regular email.
your Gmail, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then my decision is clear. There's no other. If that is not addressed, and I get suspended again for providing evidence.
It's a clear decision. What I will propose is we will send you a summary of this talk. I'll also send it to your Gmail address. And then I also hope that we can stay, as I already mentioned, stay in contact also in the coming few weeks, if you want.
From my perspective, unless this contact is specifically addressing the crimes committed against me, then there's no point. So it's.
Do you have
so much.
do you have any?
No, very good.
I'm sorry, it's like this, but
For me, I told you it's. I don't find this tolerable. So